James for the untouchable, true school sports. Let's go, baby. Bow!
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah. The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something that boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so I wanted to come on here and give my 2 cents on a very, very interesting thing going on in boxing right now, and that's this whole negotiation between Jaron Ennis and Brian Norman Jr. You know, Jaron Ennis, IBF welterweight champion. Brian Norman Jr., WBO welterweight champion. These guys have history. You know, Norman has sparred in Philadelphia on plenty of occasions. But now they're both champions. Now they're both adversaries. Now they're both rivals. And there's been a lot of talking going back and forth, you know, according to Boots Ennis and his people. They sent an offer to Brian Norman Jr., and the offer was not responded to that which Brian Norman Jr.'s dad, shout out to Senior, he went ahead and he said that, look, no, there was a response, there was a counter offer made, but nothing came of the counter offer from the matchroom people. So we're getting a lot of he said, she said. All I'll say is this: I don't have a dog on the race. I like both of them. I'm a fan of Jaron Ennis. I'm a fan of what Brian Norman Jr. has been able to accomplish in that last fight with Giovanni Santillan. I think it's beautiful that he's in this position to begin with, right? Because he wasn't looking so hot in the fight before Giovanni Santillan. But like, if what Brian Norman Sr. is saying is true, if they send a counter offer, that's not ducking. I want to make that very clear, because a lot of times boxing fans are quick to say a guy is ducking a fight. Sending a counter offer is not only is it not ducking, but it's a very natural thing in boxing negotiations and in life. When you negotiate anything, more oftentimes not, unless the offer is so good, the first offer, you don't accept the first offer. You negotiate what you feel is the best terms for you and your fighter or your business or whatever the case may be. And in this case, Brian Norman Jr., they feel like they can negotiate something better, so that's why a counter offer was sent. So my thing is this: I'll be honest. A lot of guys in the past, there are guys that have avoided Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis is a very good fighter. He's difficult to beat. He's one of the most skilled fighters in around these weights and just in boxing. And he's something that he's hard to beat. People know Jaron Ennis is a hard guy to beat, but I don't think this is one of them times. I don't think Brian Norman Jr. is a guy that's avoiding Jaron Ennis. I think really and truthfully, you look at what Brian Norman has done, that last fight against Giovanni Santillan, that was a fight. If there was ever a fight where a fighter was set up to lose, it was that fight. Giovanni Santillan was coming off of a big knockout victory over Alexis Rocha in one of the most exciting fights of the year in 2023. And they fought in San Diego. It was supposed to be a coronation of sorts for Giovanni Santillan. And had Brian Norman looked bad that night, that was probably going to be it for him on Top Rank, because he wasn't lighting the world on fire. And what did he do? When the chips were down and things were against him, he shined and gave one of the best performances of this calendar year against Giovanni Santillan. So if a guy like that was willing to fight under those circumstances and perform like that, I don't think a guy like that would avoid Jaron Ennis, especially when there's some familiarity there. They've sparred, they've been to Philadelphia, they know a bit about Boots. So this division, this weight class, particularly welterweight, it's a division that doesn't have a lot of names, doesn't have a lot of storylines. Let's be honest, there's not a lot of scintillating or exciting storylines. This is developing very quickly into one of the most exciting fights in the division. I would even venture to say it is the most exciting fight in the division, not just for the style matchup, but for now what's happening outside the ring. So look, I would like all parties involved, Matchroom, Top Rank, Norman, Bozy Ennis, Brian Norman Sr., Jaron Ennis, Brian Norman Jr., I would like everybody to get on one accord, because we went through 5 years of nothing but utter bullshit with Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence going back and forth. I would like it to not be that way in this case, because this is a division that I really feel, the welterweight division, this is a division that needs to move. It needs to have some progression. It needs to have guys fighting. It needs to have a clear-cut guy, because there's nobody really, there's not a lot of depth in the division, and the division is still trying to sort itself out in the post-Crawford, post-Spence era. So we don't need any more negotiating sagas. Get the negotiating done in a timely manner, and let's get it on. Boots Ennis thinks he's the best, and Brian Norman thinks he's the best. Well, the only way to prove that is in the boxing ring. So it is what it is there. Now, what I also want to discuss is what are the implications for this fight, for these fighters, if there is not a deal or an agreement reached. That's the interesting thing we need to talk about. Now, for Boots was supposed to fight Cody Crowley, who was an IBF mandatory. Crowley pulled out, and he actually wound up getting a voluntary fight against David Avanesyan. Now, I'm not sure if that would count as a voluntary defense, but it was a voluntary fight. It was on late. He was a late replacement, so I would be led to believe that was a voluntary defense. So with that being said, if my line of thinking is correct, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, right now Boots Ennis, his mandatory challenger is none other than Karen Chukujan. And I'll be honest, I may be in the minority in this. I think if he can't get the fight against, Barrios, if he can't get the fight against, Brian Norman Jr., Stanley Honest, them kind of guys, I think he should definitely honor his mandatory and fight Karen Chukujan. Why? Because Jaron Ennis has looked sensational in pretty much every fight he's ever had. The one night he didn't look sensational, and quite frankly, I thought he looked a bit regular, was Karen Chukujan. Now, Karen Chukujan, has he beaten the best fighters in the world since he lost to Jaron Ennis? No. He had 2 stay busy wins over there in, I think, Eastern Europe, and then he beat Harry Scarf in the IBF Eliminator. Harry Scarf was a British fighter, difficult style to look good against. He upset the British champion Ekal Esman to get into the rankings, and then eventually he became the IBF mandatory challenger. So I would like that fight because I think Boots does need to work on dealing with that kind of a style. Because look, I'll tell you like right now, if he don't deal with that style against Karen, let's just say he don't fight Karen. If you look down the rankings, the number 10 contender is a guy I think he'll fight, which is Shakram Giyashov. Giyashov's an Uzbek fighter, matchroom fighter, a guy that I think would jump at the opportunity to fight a Jaron Ennis because that'll be the biggest opportunity of his career. If you ain't going to fight Karen, who moves, you're going to fight Giyashov, who moves. So, might as well just knock the mandatory out and show that you can do a better job and put an exclamation point, because I was disappointed that just movement and a little bit of counterpunching gave Boots so many problems. It made him look regular. He won the fight, but it looked really regular in that fight to me. So I would like that fight. But as far as Norman just got the belt, and I'd be led to believe that he's going to do a voluntary defense. So if funny enough, Giyashov is also the number 1 contender for Norman. So maybe Norman winds up fighting Giyashov. That's an option for him as well. You got Alexis Rocha, who we know lost to Santillan, but Alexis Rocha didn't fight Brian Norman, so maybe they go that route. Maybe that's a similar style, high guard, high volume, pressure, southpaw. He's the number 2 contender. You got Jin Sasaki, the very exciting Japanese contender. He's number 3. So there's definitely some guys. Derek Cuevas, who's been lying around there for a while in the rankings. You got Nicholas Flaus, who I think will get a title shot at some point. There's all those names in the rankings, but also he could also fight Teofimo Lopez, because Teofimo Lopez has been WBO champion in the 140, I think 135 as well. Teofimo Lopez could also, move up to 147 and fight Brian Norman Jr. in what will be an exciting fight. It's a fight that I think Top Rank does want to do. Teofimo Lopez has expressed an interest to be a welterweight champion. The easiest fight to make of the welterweight champions would be him against Brian Norman Jr. So there's, that's how I think it plays out for both of them. Either Brian Norman or Boots are going to fight Giyashov, and Jaron Ennis will be put in a position where he got to fight Karen Chukujan, which people are moaning about. I would like to see it again. I would like to see if Boots could actually make the adjustment and deal with him in more dominant fashion this time, because I didn't like what I saw that fight. But that's the news. Brian Norman Jr. and Jaron Ennis are going back and forth. I hope the back and forth don't last too much longer and we can get a fight made, because this is not one of those fights where there's like tens of millions of dollars at stake. This is a good fight. It's a good unification fight, but it's not Crawford-Spence. It ain't Pacquiao Mayweather. Get the business in order. Get the numbers right. Get the communication in order, because that's the main thing in boxing. A lot of times it's just communication or lack thereof, and I want to see it. It's a good fight. Boots Ennis is a versatile, switch-hitting boxer puncher. Brian Norman's more of a front foot dominant guy, but he showed that he could be a precision power puncher in that last fight against Giovanni Santillan. So I think it's a great style matchup. Now with all the talking, it's becoming more exciting to appealing to the fans, and even people who have never seen Brian Norman Jr. fight are saying they want to see this fight just because of the way his dad is talking about stuff on Instagram. So those are my 2 cents. What do you guys think? And do you think we get this fight done this year? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. I'm at the Boxing Hall of Fame out here in Canastota, New York. And for more great boxing content just like this video, make sure you click and subscribe right over here.